Welcome to my channel. This is my first YouTube video. I've been playing WarThunder since 2014. I've been on and off in WarThunder until 2 years ago. I've played when it was just planes, tanks, and now ships. I could just release my own take with aerial or ground battles, but I decided let's give Naval some love. There are more well-known creators out there that have discussed naval gameplay. I know I'm not the only one, but despite that, I've decided to just jump in and share my take with Naval. There's a lot to unpack in this game mode. This first video will be a quick rundown on what to learn and expect from the game. I'll be going into depth in future videos, so do look forward to it. I know a lot of you are already seasoned players out there, but for those who are new or still on the fence when it comes to Naval, I'm hoping this video will allow you to give it a chance. The gameplay is quite different from air or ground battles, so I understand where this is coming from. This game is by no means fast-paced like in World of Warships. Mechanics are changed in World of Warships to better fit its arcade gameplay. War Thunder is known to replicate real-world effects as much as possible, so it will feel different. If you're coming from World of Warships, you'll find yourself loving this game due to how dynamic it is. Damage models are the same as other game modes. Armor penetration and sloping values, crewmen to trim down and modules to destroy. The time to kill varies a lot. Unlike in tanks and planes, you can take them down in a couple of shots. Here, one moment you shoot at bullet sponges, the next you somehow one-hit delete them. Intense battles can happen, and it's usually at closer ranges where you both slug shells and dodge torpedoes. But at longer ranges, the only threat with torpedoes you'll see are from this thing. A bit of a history. Naval battles started with small PT boats, then bigger and better boats were gradually added. We then received actual blue water ships and got bigger from there. The tech tree is kind of different. Unlike in tanks and aircraft, where you can distinguish the lines between light, medium, heavies, tank destroyers, and SPAA. What they did for blue water here is you start with destroyers, then move your way up to light cruisers, heavy cruisers, then battleships. Due to the structure of the tech tree, at top tiers, both sides are entirely filled with battleships. There will be smarter players that will bring destroyers and PT boats despite the large gap in BR. I kind of question how they structured the tech tree. But since there aren't that many ships yet, I can't really blame them. There are a lot of paper ships, but at least no fictional ones. You'll find yourself playing with blue water most of the time, due to not many players actually wanting to play coastal ships. I recommend doing coastal at least to some degree. Those small boats are sometimes essential due to how fast and sneaky they can get. Destroyers with good torpedo loadouts can be essential for area clearing, but for cruisers at top tier, you'll usually find yourself as food for battleships. Your job as a cruiser is meant to clear out destroyers, aircraft, and sometimes supporting battleships. But due to compression, you'd find yourself as the first target when against battleships. Unless it's a domination map, I recommend waiting what the enemy lineup is. You can see what each player brings in the statistics menu before spawning in. My style is to wait and see if a Shimakaze spawns in. If one comes in, I use a ship with the fastest rate of fire and take it down quick. Spawning in late, most enemies won't take notice of you immediately, so use this advantage in taking out dangerous ships like Shimakaze first. If you get taken out by its torpedoes, I recommend waiting at least a minute before spawning in, because there will be instances that once you spawn in, Shimakaze's other torps would be on you at the spawn point. I've obviously been a victim of this a few times. The maps are considered small since you encounter enemies just as you spawn in. I'd understand why it was small since we started with small vessels, but ever since then, they really didn't expand maps to allow players to get in the action quickly. They also said they are looking to add subs too. I'm kinda excited. More reason to bring in bombers or destroyers. We had an event reenacting the Battle of the Atlantic. where US cargo ships headed to the UK were escorted with US destroyers and went against German U boats. You can choose either side, a German U boat or US destroyer. Both can spawn in planes with enough points. It was a unique scenario they ran one time, so I'm pretty sure subs won't be as broken as what people might think once they're added. Of course, ships get slower the more you move towards battleships, but there are some ships that can be really fast, despite the size. Take USS Alaska, for example, as the class suggests, is a battle cruiser. Technically, it's just an oversized heavy cruiser, to be honest. It sacrificed armor for speed and rate of fire. In arcade, it can go at a top speed of 71 kilometers per hour with fast range acquisition and reload speed of 23 seconds for a ship of its class. By the time you reach battleships, you'll have to be smart. You can bring out your scout plane and cap for cover using smoke. Charge towards the cap zone and take advantage of your armor. Or just sit there and delete anything you get your sights on. Seriously, don't just sit there. Head to the nearest cap because most losses are you and your team just staring at the enemy. To set expectations, time to find a match can sometimes take a while. You can get a game in a minute or two, but when there are less players, it can take 5 or 6 minutes. It was so bad back then that we had to wait 15 minutes or longer just to get a game. They fixed this by adding bots when enough players are in the queue. I recommend enabling the ability to join an ongoing match to make sure you'd enter one quickly. Expect being up tiered a lot though. Arcade Battle is your go to for starting out. The physics there are toned down, but if you are brave enough, go for realistic. The main significance between realistic and arcade are the physics and aiming mechanics. Stuff like near miss shots, slightly damaging your hull, drop angle from large caliber rounds, and even the speed, range, and acquisition has significant changes in realistic mode. The waves will affect your shots too. While nothing drastic, some stormy waves will bob your ship a lot, which will affect the accuracy of your shots slightly. There is a bug that I noticed in arcade. If you separate the firing of your main and auxiliary guns, an issue with the main gun's firing, despite not being selected, happens. While in control of your secondary guns and fire consistently, you'll find that there are times the main guns would shoot somewhere, leaving you with another long reload wait. This is only in arcade mode. It doesn't happen in realistic. Thank goodness. Heavy cruisers and battleships are at a disadvantage with this bug, since their reload could take 40 seconds to nearly 2 minutes, depending on your situation. For weapons, there will be 3 weapon systems to control: the main caliber, secondaries, and the point defense guns. By default, your main and secondary cannons are bound in one button. You can disable this if you prefer to shoot only the main caliber and the secondaries separately. If you separate your main and secondaries and point defense guns will all be AI controlled while you are on the main caliber. AI controlled secondaries that target surface ships are notoriously inaccurate though. If you switch to secondaries or point defense weapons, the main caliber will be inactive but will lock in its last position. Some ships will have very few secondaries and point defense, so keep a lookout for small boats and planes that you think will sneak up on you, because despite your size, there is a high chance they can sink you with a well placed bomb or torpedo. Now, for your lineup, I'd recommend bringing at least 3 coastal ships if you start with the smaller boats. You only get to spawn 3 times, not including the plane. For the blue water lineup, it's the same, but when you reach higher BR, I'd recommend bringing at least one PT boat. Blue water battles include coastal ships, and they are normally positioned near small capture points. They are sometimes essential in leading the game to victory due to how fast they can cap. Air support, you will have to check what their individual BR are when in the roster. Unlike in tank lineups where you can see their BR from the tech tree, Naval doesn't show it to you until you add them in the roster. Take for example my current selection having an average of 4.7 BR, and in the tech tree, the P51 is shown as 5.0, but is actually 4.7 when added in arcade matches. Realistic and arcade have different BR for planes, so I recommend checking what BR they fall under when choosing your lineup. Take note, despite bringing a jet, which gives you a slight advantage. Do not underestimate the AAA batteries of the enemy team. Frigates, especially if AI controlled, are very accurate. While not as super effective, some destroyers and cruisers have reliable AAA batteries like the Bravey. Personally, I have a vendetta against the Chapayev and Mikhail Kutuzov because of how accurate they are, and are highly effective in defending ships you might be targeting. Your selection of jets will be limited. The highest BR right now is 7.0, so you can only bring a jet equivalent to 7.3 BR or less. You will see a lot of players bring in props due to this. Armor protection at early tiers are easy to distinguish. The bigger the gun, the more penetration. So PT boats can't take down a destroyer with guns but can sink most ships with torpedoes. Over-penetration can happen, but doesn't work the same way as World of Warships. Like in ground battles, if the caliber is large enough, even with over-penetration, once your ammo stowage is hit, or the hole on the hull is big enough, you can consider yourself dead in the water. Ha 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 ha. This is why it's recommended on shooting at the waterline where armor can be weak. Since the release of the Hornet's Sting update, they changed how the aiming works in arcade. I am not a big fan of this change. The previous method of aiming was already simple. While in third person view, you have this translucent white circle as your cursor. You align it with the green circle on the target ship and adjust for lead if you wanted to. In scoped mode, you will have the green drop point as your cursor. This indicates where the shots will land. That's how you aimed back then. Now the green circle is gone, the green drop point is gone, and you just need to aim a cursor at the ship. The game will handle the calculations for you. Should have been simple. Just one issue. The patch itself had lots of bugs, and Naval was affected heavily by this despite very minimal changes. When you aim at a ship and it suddenly corrects speed or changes course, the guns does not automatically correct its aiming. There is no indicator of any sort to help you with correcting your shots due to the new aiming mechanic. I've also mentioned earlier how my main caliber would just shoot despite not being selected. While preparing this video, they released a small update that fixes range acquisition if no target is selected. I was hoping maybe the ninja'd some fixes on Naval. I immediately tried it out and found that it's still the same. My shots just go somewhere else more often because the turret just incorrectly adjusts while on target. I also realized that the main guns would have incorrect elevation if an island is between you and the enemy. This may be the reason why your cannons just shoot somewhere randomly. I found that you can mitigate this by manually aiming a lot higher to manually adjust the elevation. The new aiming mechanic is just that problematic. So many bugs since December. So yeah, sticking to realistic for now. I'm not going to do a bug report. I had an issue with the F-15E engines suddenly turning back on while landing, and it's still not looked into even after a month. Another YouTuber, Rogue Flame Haze, covered the aiming issues and other bugs on their video. He also found that the shots would just shoot somewhere randomly like I did. Do check it out. Link will be in the description. Right now, Naval Arcade is in a slightly bad place. Don't get me wrong, I'm here to encourage, educate, and provide expectations on naval battles, despite how inconvenient these issues are. Arcade is good fun, and great for farming Silver Lions. A good game can land you between 60 to 100,000 Silver Lions, and that is just in arcade. I've seen others gain 250,000. The new patch boosted kill rewards towards bots that the match spawns, though they also fixed the part where the bots would barely shoot. They can now kill you, but not as threatening as a real player, so you don't have to worry about them too much while in battle. If you find yourself frustrated in arcade mode, I recommend switching to realistic. While the learning curve in realistic is a little higher, it's more stable than arcade at the moment. Try out Naval either way and see for yourself. I'd like to talk more, but that's all the time we have for today. I'll discuss a bit more in detail in the next video. My current plan is to release videos every 2 weeks. I hope this first video is informative enough to help give people a chance to try out Naval. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on what I can improve on. See you in the next video.